Hello everyone, so it's finally happened and somebody has commissioned a sword from me. I'm excited, especially since it is a Viking sword. And they've given me pretty much carte blanche with the design of it, which is always the best type of customer. When you are approaching somebody who makes artistic pieces like me, it's always good to give us a bit of leeway with the design. And this is going to be a very fun project, which I plan on making into a vlog as I go. Not so much showing too much of the process of making it, because I'd rather focus on doing it, because what I have planned is pretty fancy. But it's going to be taking you along the journey of what is going to be a long build and a lot of work, as all swords are. What I'm doing, or planning on doing, is going to be a little fancier than just a plain old Viking sword though. So it's going to be very, very cool. I'm very much looking forward to the build, and I'm really glad that all of you lovely people are along for the ride. So what this first episode is going to be is sort of taking you through what my plans are for the design, so that you can start getting a picture of what we're going to be working towards. But it's gonna be a very showy piece, and I want it to be memorable, I want it to look fantastic, and I want it to feel good in the user's hand. All of the correct balance proportions have to be worked out, all the sizings are going to be worked out, and once the blade is rough forged, I'm actually going to, the handle is going to be made of, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 parts. There's 12 parts in the handle. I just realized that. So I'm going to do the handle as a mock-up in wood first, so that I know the scale, size, alignment of all of the pieces around the blade, to actually assemble. Oh god, I just realized it's more than 12 parts. 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 parts. It's going to be 18-part handle. Yes, I'm a masochist. But yeah, if I mock it up in wood first, that gives me proportions, lets me work out volumes of the material that I'm going to be working with, because yes, Damascus is going to be involved. And so calculating volume is super important. So I've got a bit of scrap wood sitting on my anvil, and let me sort of sketch out and take you through what I'm planning to do for this build. Okay, guys, so I've got my sort of my palette here. Now, if you can imagine the blade coming into the piece, coming down like that, it's going to be kind of close to real size. We're going about 2 inches across here, 2.5 inches. And so the sword will come down here, and in traditional Viking sword fashion, it's going to have a central fuller. Now, the blade itself is going to be fairly plain. Not hugely plain, but fairly plain. There are going to be custom engravings of sort of Viking runes down the side of the either side of the fuller. So as you can imagine, going down both sides like that. These are going to be very specific runes, which are going to be worked out later. You'll see that as it goes along. But the inside of the fuller, I want to keep brute to forge. So you'll see all of the forge marks in there, the residue of the burning of the flames of the forge, all sort of not scaled up, but it'll be cleaned out, but it'll be rough and brute to forge in there. Whereas the bladed edge are going to be a lovely satin finish in order to make these etched runes really stand out in a beautifully contrasted way. So, not a Damascus blade, it's a monosteel blade, but the satin finish down here, contrasting against the brute to forge fuller, I think is going to look really, really cool. But then we move into our guard. Now, Viking swords have an upper guard and a lower guard. The upper guard, which is the largest one, is kind of from the side, kind of rectangular in profile, maybe about that big, so that when you sit your hand there, it completely covers your hand. From a top-down perspective, though, it's actually going to be kind of like ovular, I guess. The sword blade will be here, and the thickest point will be across here, and it'll swoop down into a round, and then into a round there and there. But it's not just going to be one piece, this upper guard. It's going to be 5 pieces. So it's going to be separated down the middle like that. This part here is going to be Damascus. This part here is going to be Damascus. In the middle is going to be polished brass. And the brass is going to have a channel cut into it that starts at the fuller, runs around to the back and stops at the fuller, and this one here is going to start here at this side of the fuller and go round and end up at the back. And inlaid into this channel is going to be some twisted wire. So if you can kind of imagine it with these rougher materials, there'll be a layer of brass with twisted wire inlay. Of course, that will be polished brass, but silver wire on brass. There we go. But actually inlaid into a channel all the way around the brass. So plenty of Damascus needed for this project. And then we're going to have that, layer of brass with this twisted wire inlay. 2 pieces, one going this way, one going that way. Then there's going to be the handle, a very quintessential Viking sword handle, about 4 inches long, very snug fit between the top guard and the bottom guard, as is traditional. This is not necessarily to scale, but it's going to be kind of stubby and ovular, like a Viking sword would traditionally be. However, in here, it's going to be a dark wood, kind of like I haven't decided on the specific wood yet, but it's going to be a dark wood with pyrography running all the way through it. So it'll have my touch mark in the center, but it will be actually pyrographied version of Yggdrasil, the tree of life. And its branches and roots are it's all going to be Viking knotwork style. It's going to have, because traditionally a Viking sword historically would have a front-facing side and a back-facing side, and the front-facing side would be out and worn as a showpiece side to the sword, as you can see in historical examples like the Sutton Hoo sword, which I highly recommend you looking up, because that is a phenomenal sword. But yeah, Yggdrasil is going to be growing pyrography wood burned in there, and it will look like it's upside down, but while you're holding the sword, in which it would be upright, it will be covered. So when the sword's being displayed, it'll be displayed point down, which means it will be arranged like that. So you'll have the Tree of Life, Yggdrasil, growing on the handle, all burnt in with pyrography. And then the lower guard will be a shorter version, but just as wide, of the top guard. So split down the middle with brass and inlaid twisted wire, Damascus. And then there's the pommel, and the pommel is going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 parts to it. So the pommel is going to overall have a profile like this. However, it's going to be split with brass running up there, and there's going to be a groove carved in there and there that runs all the way over into the back with twisted wire inlay there, twisted wire inlay, and this is going to be Damascus. So that's the plan. And you get to watch me stress out and freak out as I try and build this over the coming months. Now, this is a long game project, but I'm actually wanting to kind of get this wrapped up by mid-year. I'm still have to be working on, making my living during the week, so I'm going to be having a day of the week each week that I am dedicating to working on this and getting it done, because this thing's going to have a blade length probably about 940 millimeters, very quintessential sort of Peterson type E style to it. The blade itself is going to be a fairly straightforward construction. The work is going to be on the sattining, getting the brute to forge looking nice, getting that fuller nice and neat, and etching those runes. But this handle is going to be absolutely delicious when it's finished, and I'm very much looking forward to seeing the final result. It's one of those projects I can visualize it perfectly in my head. I am not very good at drawing in order to explain it to you. So I've got my Damascus ready to go. Lots of brass, much more where that came from, and a bit of practice twisted wire using a Niels Vandenberg technique of using a Fordham to create it, and it's lovely and neat. I think it looks great, and I think against the brass inlays, especially when they're polished up and really shining gold, I think that contrast is going to look absolutely top notch. So that's the plan, guys and girls. Hopefully you think that's a good idea. I'm pretty stoked with it. It's turned into a project that I'm really excited to hold in my hand at the end of this, and I think I'm going to have a hard time letting it go. But, you know, I kind of feel that way about most of the things that I make. So, yeah, a sword build is nothing to sneeze at. You can, there's swords and there's swords. This is going to be a special piece that hopefully is cherished for generations to come. Anyway, that is the plan. Just a short video today, but it's part one of what will be a very cool and interesting series, hopefully. You can look forward to regular video updates as I sort of vlog this out for you. But I do have a couple of other videos in the works, one about forge presses and one about my new toy that I've got, which is sitting down here, which if you follow me on social media, you'll know what I'm talking about. Please excuse the hawk. Hawk is making a lot of noise. Anyway, guys, check me out on social media. All the links are in the description below. I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram, I'm on Redbubble, where you can get sweet merch. My sticker packs have been going off lately, so check those out for yourself. The Redbubble link is in the description below. I'm on Etsy selling things that I make, which help fund projects like these. And yeah, I'm trying to get back on Twitch. Really still struggling to get good wireless internet all the way out here in the Forge. I am a long way from my house here, but that's the nature of living in the country. But yes, the intent is still to be on Twitch. Anyway, guys, I hope you're all doing well. Big thank you to my Patreon supporters. You guys all rock. A few of you have been sending me some really interesting stuff lately, and it makes my day every single time. But I will catch you all on the next video. I hope you're all doing well.